Today we're going to look at Magic the Gathering cards that put like the strangest counters on things. We're going to start off with Guafa, Hazard Profiteer. This is a blue-white, one generic 2/2 human rogue with the ability blue-white, tap, put a bribery counter on target creature you don't control. Its controller draws a card. So you got paid, and therefore creatures with bribery counters on them can't attack or block. Your creature now works for me. It can't attack or block me. Be attacking and blocking somebody else around here. I'll also continue off with the Soul Echo coming from Mirage. This is a white X enchantment. When you play Soul Echo, put X Echo counters on it. Now, Echo, not the mechanic. Echo, and Echo, not the dolphin. Echo the counter. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are no Echo counters on Soul Echo, bury it. Otherwise, target opponent may choose that for each 1 damage dealt to you until your next upkeep. You instead remove 1 Echo counter from Soul Echo. I honestly don't even know what I read over there. You do not lose the game as a result of having less than 1 life. All right, well, that's some good news. That's some good news, anyhow. No music. We're going to have music in a second. Why don't I have music? Why isn't the music showing up? Okay, we got music. Music's back. I don't know where it went in the first place. Okay, moving on. We got Toilet Duck with the Omo. Queen of Vesuva. Put an everything counter on a land or creature. This is for 3 mana, 1/5 Shapeshifter Noble. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, put an everything counter. Everything all at once on each of up to 1 target land and up to 1 target creature. Each land with an everything counter on it is every land type in addition to its other types. So it's like a Leyline of the Guild Pact counter. That should be an official counter. Leyline of the Guild Pact. Each non-land creature with an everything counter on it is also every creature type. Shapeshifter or changeling counter. Could have been 2 separate counters. I don't know how it has to be an every. I guess the everything just means, okay, all of that type on that card. Okay, next up, you can't give me the counter. You got to give me the card. Look, the show is useless if you don't give me cards around here. Me and Bruley with good old reliable, Rasputin? Dreamweaver? Oh yeah, there's like a very special counter from this guy. 6 mana for the 4/1. Enters the battlefield with 7 dream counters on it. Remove a dream counter from Rasputin to get 1 generic mana to your mana pool. I should say it's a colorless. It should be a diamond here. They got a rat of this card to a diamond. Remove a dream counter from Rasputin. Prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to Rasputin this turn. And also at the beginning of your upkeep, if Rasputin started the turn untapped, put a dream counter on it. Rasputin can't have more than 7 dream counters on it. What is the point of having so many different counters? Why can't we just say it has like 7 normal counters? It could be like 7 generic counters. You put a generic counter on Rasputin Dreamweaver. When you remove a generic counter, a lot of these counters don't need to be that specific. I understand energy. I understand infect. I don't understand about the dream one. What are we dreaming about here? Damn with fasting. Fasting is the white enchantment. You may choose to skip your draw phase. If you do so, you gain 2 life. But if you would draw for any reason, fasting is destroyed. Then during your upkeep, put a hunger counter on fasting. When fasting has 5 hunger counters on it, it is destroyed. The fasting is over. Congratulations, you lost 10 pounds. Start gorging all over again. Hexanort with Contaminated Drink. Contaminated Drink is a black-blue X instant. Draw X cards. Then you get half X rad counters rounded up. That's a new counter. Draw X cards and you get half X rad counters rounded up. If I understand that correctly, the rad counters, they make you mill cards off the top of your deck, which could be a good thing for you. You know what? It could be on offense to mill out some particular opponent, but if you need the cards in your graveyard, if they're better in your graveyard than in your deck, the rad counters are basically card draw. Okay, we got Lego Drakey with Baron Singer. I guess back then they must have had like a bunch of like random counters. They're like, yeah, we can have like a counter for this and that. Oh yeah, the +2/+2 counter. A flying 5/5. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Baron Singer this turn is put into a graveyard, put a +2/+2 counter on your Baron Singer. Also regenerates all over the place. Lewis with the Twitching Doll. It has its own type of counter, but the second ability counts any type of counters on it, really. So a green 1 generic 2/2 Spider Doll, tap, add 1 mana of any color, but then put a nest counter on Twitching Doll. Tap, sacrifice Twitching Doll, create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach. For each counter on Twitching Doll, activate only as a sorcery. How many nest counters are there in the game? Is this the only one? Why is it a nest? Oh, is this a bunch of bugs? Oh yeah, it's a spider toy. Ugh. Creepy. This card is better off in Halloween. It's too snowy outside for this. Hans Vader talking about Time Vault. Time Vault had an errata down the line where you skipped your turn to put a time counter on it. You have to remove the said counter. Well, it doesn't exist now. No, does it, Hans Vader? But thanks for the trivia. We can always appreciate the trivia around here. John with the first super chat of the day. We've got Gedron Dihada. It's a Planeswalker. 4 mana, 4 loyalty. Protection from permanents with corruption. Ooh, the corruption counters. Now, +1, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Put a corruption counter on up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker. -3, gain control of target creature or planeswalker until end of turn. Untap it and put a corruption counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. And then -7, gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it. You are corruptible. What's interesting though, you know, okay, I guess if you have enough magic power, you can corrupt people. But also, if you have enough money, you can bribe them. See, capitalism works in the Magic universe too. Actually, I don't know how the economy works in the Magic universe. If you have magic, like, what do you need money for? You should be able to just make anything out of magic. You're literally like almost like a god creating using spells to create things. You create creatures from your mind, summon them. The Wall of Roots count? Too generic. The +1/+0, -1 -0. I'm not gonna. It's gotta be a little bit more spicy than that. A little bit spicy. Okay, we got West Coast Games with the Mercadian Lift. I don't remember what this thing does. 2 mana for an artifact. Pay 1. Tap. Put a winch counter on your Mercadian Lift. Tap. Remove X winch counters from Mercadian Lift. Put a creature card with converted mana cost X from your hand into play. It's the damn show and tell. You know, I would be like, someone plays Mercadian Lift, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Good. I don't need to know what that card does. I've never heard of it. And then, you know, I don't know, X number of turns later, all of a sudden they like just surprise me putting a giant creature onto the battlefield. They can catch me by surprise. If you have AI and robots, what do you need money for? From people from 1,000 years ago, probably. If they sell our world, yeah. Truth be told. We did fasting already, Jasper Rab. You gotta be early to the show to get in them cards. Eric with Musician. Because someone mentioned music. There's literally a card called Musician. Blue 2 generic. It's a human wizard. Yes, I need to be a wizard to play the violin. It's a 1/3 with cumulative upkeep of 1. Tap, put a music counter on target creature. If it doesn't have, at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature unless you pay 1 for each music counter on it. It gains that ability. What? What is going on here? Are we lulling people to sleep to their death? Put a music counter on target creature. If it doesn't have, at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature unless you pay 1 for each music counter on it. Oh, so basically we are perpetually giving something like a tabernacle counter, and then we can increase the number of tabernacle counters on that creature. But this is a music creature. What the hell flavor is this? Somehow, some people are going to be lulled to death with music. Yeah, giving cumulative upkeep to stuff. Next up, Christopher B with the Palliation Accord. It used to have shield counters. So white, blue, 3 generic enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, put a shield counter on Palliation Accord. Remove a shield counter from Palliation Accord. Prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you this turn. So anytime, interesting. Anytime someone's creature becomes tapped for any reason, if you tap mana, I got a shield counter. I can prevent damage next turn. Jasper Rabs with Azor's Elocutors. 5 mana, 3/5, a human advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a filibuster counter on Azor's Elocutors. Then if Azor's Elocutors has 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. That's how, I guess in the age of politics, that's what they think too. You get 5 filibusters through, that's it. It's a success. Whenever a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter from the Azor's Elocutors. I'm probably not pronouncing this name right, but it's my show. I don't care. Next up, we have Bryce's Freyalize Winds. Freyalize Winds. This is a green, 2 generic enchantment. Whenever a permanent becomes tapped, put a wind counter on it. If a permanent with a wind counter on it would untap during its controller's untap step, remove all wind counters from it instead. Whenever a permanent becomes tapped, it gets a wind counter. If a permanent with a wind counter on it would untap during its controller's untap step, remove all wind counters. Oh, so it was the old stun counter. Oh, but it's for any permanent. Holy crap. This card looks absolutely miserable to play against. Isn't this just Winter Orb? When a permanent becomes tapped, so basically, you tap all your stuff. Every single time you tap something, you have to put a stun counter on it for all permanents. Your lands, the lands, artifacts, all creatures. This is completely unnecessary to play against. I'm surprised this isn't more expensive. That this isn't part of some sort of stacks-like deck. It'd be very frustrating playing against this. We got Ty with the Tome of Legends. I use this in a lot of decks. Oh, you like that one, don't you, Ty? We have a 2-mana artifact. Tome of Legends enters the battlefield with a page counter on it. Whenever your commander enters the battlefield or attacks, put a page counter on the Tome of Legends. Pay 1 tap, remove a page counter from Tome of Legends, draw a card. This is very similar. There's a battlefield with a page counter on it whenever your commander enters. Oh, I see. So every single time you play your commander, you get more page counter. You get more page counters, you can draw more cards off the damn thing. King Kettle, Venerated Teacher / Hash Drinker would work in conjunction with each other, would they? 3 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 level counters on each creature you control with a level up counter. Oh yeah, this is an old one. This is Rise of the Eldrazi, the origin of the level up stuff. Then we have a Hex Drinker, the actual level up card. These cards. This card maybe not so weird. Or I don't know, how do people feel about level up cards? They are so bad. They did not fix level up cards at all. And I don't know, maybe it's not something we want to fix. Maybe there's like no way of fixing this. Leveling up at sorcery speed, maybe it's bad, but if you do it at instant speed, it's broken. I mean, we do have 1 card to help fix, I don't know, help boost up them level up creatures. And so on. I thought was your super chat. I didn't know you realized you were super chatting. King Kettle, thank you very much for the super chat. I think you need to spend 1 more cent so that you could use the sentence in your super chat. Let's go with Mr. Noob, Agent's Toolbox. Is this card? Agent's Toolbox? No? Agent something? Toolkit! It's a toolkit. Blue-green, 1 generic. It's an artifact clue. It's a clue you cast. Oh yeah, that's not confusing. We have Clue the token. We also have Clue the artifact type. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, a flying counter, and a death touch counter, and a shield counter on it. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may move a counter from Agent's Toolkit onto that creature. Pay 2, sacrifice Agent's Toolkit, draw a card. Honestly, okay, yeah, shield is the weirdest one out of all of these. Flying counter, death touch counter, those are pretty common ones. Shield counter is the estranged one around here. Kegan with the Mount. What is this called? Mount Coralia requires tap plane to find. Mount. Kegan, how much? What's it called? How much plane chase do you play? Okay, it's a plane. It's a regatta. At the beginning of your end step, put a pressure counter on Mount Coralia. When you planeswalk away from Mount Coralia, it deals damage equal to the number of pressure counters on it to each creature in each planeswalker. You're gonna feel that pressure when you're planeswalking around here. It's like traveling through a wormhole or something. When I look at cards like this looks like it comes from a different game. It's not even Magic anymore. It's not Magic. All right, next up. Let's get one from Axixlum with a Millennium Counter. Millennium Counter. Sorry, Calendar. The Millennium Calendar. This is a 1-mana artifact, a legendary artifact. Whenever you untap one or more permanents during your untap step, put that many time counters on your Millennium counter. Pay 2, tap double the number of time counters on your Millennium counter. Then if there are 1,000 or more time counters on the Millennium counter, sacrifice it and each opponent loses 1,000 life. It's a lot of life to lose. Doesn't beat infinite life. But it's 1,000 equal to a millennia. That's the deal. That's a flavor win right there. Next super chat we're gonna get from Raptor with Wings. Shout out to my frog boy Grolnik the Omnivore. Okay, Grolnik actually. It frog. 4 mana, 3/3 frog. Whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a croak counter on it. And you may play lands and spells. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with croak counters on them. Ribbit. Oh, whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. When a permanent is into your graveyard, exile with a croak counter. Gets us eating all the rubbish. Next up, we've got David with Uvilda, Dean of Perfection. This is a 3-mana 2/2 tap. You may exile an instant or sorcery card from your hand and put 3 hone counters on it. It gains at the beginning of your upkeep. If this card is exiled, remove a hone counter from it. And when the last hone counter is removed from this card, if it's exiled, you may cast it. Costs 4 less to cast this way. What's on the other side? Are there any more hone counters? Upkeep. Library. No hone counters. Boo! I don't see the hone. Okay, next up. Kagan. This won't count, but Tetravus, ancient scripture, does something weird with them. Tetravus. Are you talking about the plane chase card? Tetravus, 6 mana, 1/1, flying. Enters battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove any number of +1/+1 counters from Tetravus. If you do, put that many 1/1 colorless Tetravite artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have flying, and this creature can't be enchanted. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile any number of tokens put on the battlefield with Tetravus. If you do, put that many +1/+1 counters on Tetravus. Yeah, this card doesn't make any unique counters. Read the old text. You could put that in the super chat, you know. Oh no, what is the old text? Okay, Antiquities. Flying. Tetravus gets +1/+1, 3 +1/+1 counters when cast. During your upkeep, you may remove each of these counters on or off Tetravus. Counters moved off Tetravus become independent 1/1 flying artifact creatures. If such creature dies, the counter is removed from play. Such creatures may not have enchantments cast on them, and they do not share any enchantments on Tetravus. Honestly, the card is just reading how we play with cards these days. If we had a counter on the Tetravus, we just move the counter onto the battlefield, and that's our creature. That's all. Just reading exactly how we play this game these days. We did Musician. It was a hilarious card. Zathrid Gorgon from Evan. Zathrid Gorgon. No, that is not Zathrid Gorgon. Was that Zathrid Gorgon? Okay, it exists. 6 mana, 3/6. It's got Death Touch. It's a Gorgon. 3 mana, tap. Put a petrification counter on target creature. It gains Defender and becomes a colorless artifact in addition to its other types. Its activated abilities also can't be activated because they are petrified. Next up, we did Azor's Allocutors. Vec, you're a bit late here. You gotta think ahead here. Think like start thinking what have people not start thinking what's the less low-hanging fruit type cards. There's still a lot, but it's early into the show. Toilet Duck with Illicit Masquerade. This is a 4-mana enchantment with flash. When it enters the battlefield, put an imposter counter on each creature you control. It's the right time for that sound effect. Whenever a creature you control with an imposter counter on it dies, exile it. Return up to one other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Wow. We didn't even have to vote the imposter off. Very sus. Very, very sus. Steve Cooper, a massive super chat. With Halden, Avid Arcanist. I'm sure some donations. They have the same counter and also donate ×2. Okay, Halden, you're a 3-mana 1/4 human wizard that partners with Paco. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exiled them, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Sounds like you're fetching a catch. Okay, next up, let's get from Chen Chu Bang with Dread Right. Dread Right. I want to say, how many rights are there in this game? Not enough. This is not the card. Whatever this card is, I don't know what it is. Is it Realm Right? No, it's not that. Sorry, you got the wrong card. Let's go with Vac. Vac tried once and failed. Tried twice and failed. But on the third try, make shift mannequin. You did it! You did it, Vac. You got on the show. It's a 4-mana instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a mannequin counter on it. For as long as that creature has a mannequin counter on it, when this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see. It's a mannequin. It's really good flavor. It's a bunch of fairies just holding up a bunch of pieces of, I don't know, clothes to make it look like, like almost like a scarecrow. But then at the moment that you attack them, they're going to fly away and the whole thing's going to collapse. Just into a pile of laundry. Dread. Okay, hold on. Dread Right. I think it's, hold on, maybe it's W-I-G-T. You're putting an R in there for no reason. There we go. Thank you so much, Vulcan King. Vulcan King, you saved us all. Okay, it's a 5-mana 3/4 zombie. At end of combat, put a paralyzation counter on all creatures blocking or blocked by Dread White, and tap those creatures. They gain. If this creature has a paralyzation counter on it, it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. And pay 4, remove a paralyzation counter from this creature. Put paralyzation, tap those creatures. They gain. At the end of combat, put a on all creatures blocking or block. Oh, I see. So basically, this creature touched them, and they got paralyzed. They got sick, and they don't this creature has paralyzed. It doesn't untap during it's permanent. Wow, it's almost like removal. They gotta bring this ability back. I think this is pretty cool. It's like removal until you pay the 4. You don't untap unless you pay the 4. He has cooties. What is this, grade 5? Copyright with Dwarven Armory. Dwarven Armory. 4 mana for an enchantment. Pay 2, sacrifice a land to put a +2/+2 counter on target creature. Use this ability only during upkeep. It's basically the same thing as the Singer Vampire ability. We got another super chat from Kagan. Thanks so much, Kagan. Since you asked, I don't play it a lot, but I bought Plane Chase Anthology to get my friends into Magic the Gathering. Oh, that guy meant Dread White. Yeah, we figured it out. Thanks very much, Kagan. We'll donate that super chat. Well, yeah, you could proliferate the +2/+2 counter. That's insane. Okay, Jason with Helix Pinnacle. The green enchantment with Shroud. Put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you also win the game. Jeffrey Kramer, are we looking for counters part of the card? Are a way a card utilizes types of counters? And, okay, hold on. No, we're looking for cards that create a very unique, unusual type of counter. So let's look at your Athreos Shroud Veiled. I don't know if it counts or not. Indestructible, as long as your devotion is blah blah. It's not a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. That counts. I never heard of a coin counter. Whenever a put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So you can pay for eternity. It's a pay-to-win game on Magic the Gathering, both within the game and outside the game. If you have enough money, you can live eternal. We did the Millennium Calendar. Who doesn't have a card yet? I think you've all contributed quite a bit so far. Kano with Altair. I'm just gonna look this up. I can't spell the rest of this. Okay, Altair Ibn Lahad. I'm definitely butchering that name. A Mardu 3/3 human assassin with first strike. When it attacks, exile up to 1 target assassin creature from your graveyard with a memory counter on it. Then for each creature card you own in exile with a memory counter on it, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Exile those tokens at end of combat. Oh boy, got nothing so far. Rock Hydra? Classic. You want the ABU wording? Put X +1/+1 counters, heads, on Hydra. Each point of damage Hydra suffers destroys 1 head unless red is spent. During upkeep, new heads may be grown for red apiece. Oh my god. What's the OG one? It's just X +1/+1 counters. It's actually just... It's lame. Sorry. It is fun looking at the old wording, but the Oracle text ruling is still just +1/+1 counters. Nightmare Incarnations, Endless Scream. Remember, NCY means no card yet. We got Black X. Enchanted creature gets +X+0. Oh no, that's I think that's not the Oracle text. So what is the Oracle text here? Enchanted creature. Oh no, they have a list version. The list version also doesn't have the Oracle text. Well, that's great, Wizards. Okay, Endless Scream enters with X Scream counters on it. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 for each Scream counter on Endless Scream. How do you know that from reading the card? When reading the card does not explain the card at all. In fact, it just fails us miserably. All right, you heard the music. It's time to thank our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com. My favorite place to buy my Magic the Gathering cards. Also, if you have Magic cards you want to sell, they're paying for them as well. Sell them your Magic the Gathering cards. Okay, it's also a great place to buy your Magic the Gathering Foundations cards. I heard Standard is sick. You know, you can spend up to $100. Get in Standard, get into the game. Enjoy competitive Magic the way it was meant to be played. Buy your Magic the Gathering Foundations today. If you want to support the channel, you can do it at FusionGamingOnline.com by using coupon code Nikachu at checkout. Save yourself 5% off and also support the channel using my coupon code. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. Your ability to play any deck, any format you want. Prepare for your next event. If you live in the middle of nowhere and you always wanted to play Commander, you can play Commander online on Magic Online. That's also possible. And you have access to every single deck possible in Commander. when you're renting with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your 3rd month subscription when you use coupon code Nikachu_4VU. Here's all the great benefits for playing with Mana Traders. All right, back up. Cards with weird counters. As weird as it looks. Whoops. Vulcan. Smokestack hasn't been done. It has not, actually. Smokestack. We have 4-mana artifact. You could put a soot counter on your upkeep on Smokestack. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player's sacrifice is a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. Where's the original one? There you go. That's the OG Smokestack. I can't remember. I think some people used to say this card was broken. Maybe under the right conditions, it's good. I guess it's just like another, what's it called? Taxing piece. It's called stacks. Is that what the archetype is called? Stacks away. It's called stacks because they keep stacking annoying crap on top of each other. That's the end with Guafa. Hazard Profiteer. I did that one. I'm sorry. I basically sniped you. That was my first card. That's how I started the show. Seems like a slow burn. Well, it's like a frog boiling in a pot. It gets more and more boiled over time. For Ginkus, have you ever heard of void counters? Dothy Voidwalker. To be honest, I have heard of void counters. How rare are void counters? I just take it for granted because I know exactly what Dothy Voidwalker does. It's such a popular card. Black 3/2 Dothy Rogue Shadow. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it, and then tap sacrifice Dothy Voidwalker. Choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Wow, you know what? I just realized, for all the modern players out here, this card sees no play anymore. It's like dead. I can't believe it. This was one of the most heavily played cards for the last 2 years, and now it's just gone. I haven't seen this thing in months ever since Modern Horizons 3 came out. Modern Horizons 3 has basically destroyed Modern Horizons. What is this, 2? I think this is MH2. Yeah, MH2. Unbelievable. It's the only card with a void. It is the only card with a void counter on it. I can't believe it. When you tell me void counter, have you ever heard that? Oh yeah, sure, millions of times because of this stupid card. It was so heavily played for literally 2 years. Still sees a lot of legacy play. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. See, it still sees a good chunk of legacy play. Just completely dead though in modern. A Blackbird. Felon of Heavenwood. That should be a show. Modern Horizons 1 and 2 cards we don't see anymore. Heaven... Thelon? Oh, Havenwood, not Heavenwood. We have a green 2/2 Elf Druid. Legendary creature. Each fungus creature gets a +1/+1 for each spore counter on it. Pay a black and a green, exile a fungus card from a graveyard. Put a spore counter on each fungus on the battlefield. I think there was one set that used a lot of spore counters. They like them spores. Toads. The Wise Mothman. Oh, another rad counter card. 4 mana for a 3/3 insect mutant with flying. When enters the battlefield or attacks, each player gets a rad counter. And whenever one or more non-land cards are milled, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way. The Wise Mothman is never in search of the lamp, because he is the lamp. He was born a lamp. Just a random age. Gutter Grime. 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a slime counter on Gutter Grime. Then put a green ooze creature token onto the battlefield. With this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of slime counters on your Gutter Grime. That thing, this place needs some extra hard Mr. Clean. Some sort of detergent. There's grime and grease all over the place. Get rid of your slime with Mr. Clean. David Groves. Armageddon Clock. Has a unique counter, and it has a great name. The Armageddon Clock. Time is ticking. 6-mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a Doom counter on your Armageddon Clock. At the beginning of your draw step, Armageddon Clock deals damage to each player equal to the number of Doom counters on it. Pay 4, remove a Doom counter from Armageddon Clock. Any player may activate this ability, but only during any upkeep step. This is quite a hefty cost to pay to, like, screw over your upkeep step for that thing. John with the super chat. Thank you very much. Malignant Growth. We got a 5-mana enchantment with Commutative Upkeep 1. During your upkeep, put a growth counter on Malignant Growth. During target opponent's draw phase, they draw an additional card for each growth counter on Malignant Growth. For each card that opponent draws in this way, Malignant Growth deals 1 damage to them. Interesting. Why do you get cards off of this thing? Why? It's almost like a benefit somehow. The Big Squig. We got Evelyn, the Covetous. Okay, 5 mana for a 2/3 Vampire Rogue with Flash. Whenever Evelyn or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter on it, as if the Evelyn likes to collect things, just like Magic the Gathering players. We collect Evelyn, who collects other Magic cards. Well, once each turn, you may play a card from exile with a collection counter on it if it was exiled by an ability you controlled, and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast it. Who's collecting who around here? It's like Inception. Must go deeper. Multi-Ultimator with archery training. We have a white enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put an arrow counter on archery training. Now, enchant creature has tap. This creature deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature, where X is the number of arrow counters on archery training. Enchanting this creature. Target attacking or blocking creature. That's interesting. Oh, but it is an aura, though. So it could die. And if the creature dies, well, you're not going to do anything. So the more arrow counters, more arrows to shoot. Do we do Briber's Purse? Was a staple in mono red heroic decks? Oh no, we most definitely did not. X artifact Briber's Purse enters the battlefield with X gem counters. Pay 1, tap, remove a gem counter from Briber's Purse. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. What's with these? It might as well be a bribe counter. Or I guess no, the bribe counter is permanent. The gem counter, that's just temporary. We did Musician Rubik's. It was actually a very amazing card. It's just Conundrum. I don't know why lulling people to death through music is even a mechanic. Berginka with Trade Caravan. We have a white 1/1. During your upkeep, put a currency counter on Trade Caravan. It was like going to the exchange, those like exchange rate booths or whatever. Pay 0. Remove 2 currency counters from Trade Caravan to untap target basic land. I pay you money, I get basic land. Use of this ability only during an opponent's upkeep. That's useless. Oh god, that is terrible. I only get to untap my cards on other people's turns. Carbonic. That which was taken. That's a card. 5 mana for a legendary artifact. Pay 4, tap, put a divinity counter on target permanent other than that which was taken. Each permanent with a divinity counter on it has indestructible. It's very fitting of Betrayers of Kamigawa, because I believe I think there was like at least one giant spirit. Like it was almost like a spirit god that all had divinity counters on them. What else do we have here? Benjamin Thomas. Soul Catchers. Airy. 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a bird is put into a graveyard from play, put a feather counter on your Soul Catcher's area. All birds get +1/+1 for each feather counter on Soul Catcher's area. That makes no sense. So basically, as the birds are dying, somehow all the other birds get stronger. I mean, you know what? A team is only as strong as your weakest player, so maybe that could make a whole lot of sense. Still, I think strength in numbers supersedes everything else. Next up, we got Charlie. Charlie Peterson. Have you done Withering Boon yet? Most definitely not. It's a good surprise. What the hell is this? It's a 2-mana interrupt, pay 3 life, counter target summon spell. Oh, no. It's it. No. This is not a counter spell show. Although I'm very surprised no one else has made this mistake yet. It's MTG cards that make the weirdest. They make weird counters. They don't counter cards in weird ways. Although that could probably be another show. Yeah, it's not that type of counter. It's like the feather counter, the divinity counter. But nice try, though. Nice try. If you have another, I'm a bit slow. Sorry. No worry. If you have another card, I'll keep an eye out for you to preserve your super chat. Anyone with no card yet? I think almost everyone's had a shot yet so far. True North A with the Glider Bairn, or sorry, Gilder. It's a Gilder Bairn would be great with these weird counter cards. The 3-mana 1/3. It's an oof. It actually looks like someone dressing up as a oof for Halloween. You get what I'm saying? Doesn't it look like a kid in a costume and they've got their bag of candy over here? Anyway, 3 mana, untap for each counter on target permanent. Put another of those counters on that permanent. So this is the buff card to all the cards that we have in this entire show. Duke Firebird with Venerian Gold. Do we make gold counters? It's a blue X enchant creature. I'm gonna read I'm not gonna read the ancient scripture. When it enters, tap enchant creature and put X sleep counters on it. Sleep. Lullaby to sleep here. Jigglypuff. This is the Jigglypuff card. Enchant creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step if it has a sleep counter on it. And at the beginning of each upkeep of enchant creature's controller, remove a sleep counter from that creature. It's another stun counter. A lot of stun counters in this game. It's like the stun counters before the stun counters. And Charlie's like, just donate it. I read it wrong. I admit defeat. Next up, let's give one to Kano. Fishing pole. 1-mana equipment. Equipped creature has pay 1, tap. Tap fishing pole. Put a bait counter on fishing pole. Whenever equipped creature becomes untapped, remove a bait counter from this equipment. If you do, create a 1/1 blue fish creature token. Also equipped for 2. It's a bait counter. You're going to get baited. Real life baited. Toads. Orification. Make gold. Orification. We making gold counters here, Toad? 4-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature deals damage to you, now we put the gold counter on it. Each creature with a gold counter on it is a wall in addition to its other creature types. Oh, is this just like King Midas? So we touch something to turn into gold. Now they basically are a statue. When Orification leaves play, remove all gold counters from all creatures. I love gold. I don't remember that. What is that from? I love gold. I love gold. No, I don't know the origin for this thing. Next up, Toilet Duck. Minthara, Merciless Soul. 4-mana, 2/2 Elf Cleric, Ward X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, you get an experience counter. You need experience! Creatures you control get +1/+0 for each experience counter you have. Get out there in the real world. Gain that experience. Oh, it was Austin Powers. That's what it was. That's right. Oh, from Goldfinger. It wasn't, you know, I was thinking Austin Powers, but I didn't remember a single time Austin Powers literally said, I love gold. But actually, it was Mike Myers anyway, because Goldfinger would have loved to say that. You are a gold Spandau ballet. What the hell? You love Smokestack. We did Smokestack already. Evening, Nikachu. Did you do counters with movie names? Life Matrix. There's no such movie called Life Matrix. Thank you very much, Nadim. It's a 4-mana artifact. Pay 4 tap. During your upkeep, put 1 counter on target creature. You may remove this counter at any time to regenerate that creature. Oh no! It's been errated to a matrix counter. Put a matrix. You gotta escape them. To escape the matrix, you need to remove the matrix counter. For as long as you have a matrix counter, you are a slave to the matrix. Ryan. Oh, something simple here. Luminarch Ascension. This is the 2-mana enchantment. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Luminarch Ascension. And then for 2 mana, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Activate only if you have 4 more quest counters on it. Yeah, sorry, you have to put quest counters on your Luminarch Ascension. Toilet Duck says, fun thing to do, actual fun, not guaranteed. Read the ancient scripture of Secret Lair version of Karn the Great Creator. It looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card or something. Yeah, it doesn't sound fun at all. Vulcan King, Obsidian Fireheart. Obsidian has a great reminder text. We get a blaze counter. Some people can highly relate to that. 4 mana for a 4/4 elemental. Okay, for 3 mana, put a blaze counter on target land without a blaze counter on it. Are we smoking the land? For as long as that land has a blaze counter on it, it has at the beginning of your upkeep, this land deals 1 damage to you. The land continues to burn after his Obsidian Firemaw has left the battlefield. That's like unset, like reminder text. It's confusing the AI, that's for sure. It's 100% confusing the AI. Okay, iDucky with Ekacian Javeliers. Sorry, Javelineers. They're javelins. They're Olympic medalists. A white 1/1 human soldier enters the battlefield with a javelin counter on it, and tap remove a javelin counter from Ekacian Javelineers. It deals 1 damage to any target. Only 1 damage. That spear can pierce my skull. If you aim right, I mean, it's a 1-shot kill. We got Boof with Strixhaven Stadium. Welcome to all the new people. There's like 10 new users here contributing to the show. Welcome. 3-mana artifact. Tap, pay a colorless. Add colorless. Put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Get a point 1. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter from Strixhaven Stadium. Oh, we counting points, aren't we? Imagine it was like that in every other game, where if you score, you steal points from somebody else. I guess in the end, it doesn't matter, though. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Then if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all, and that player, oh my god, they lose the game. Actually, I was thinking now, if sports were like that, where you make points, but when your opponent scores on you, they take your points away instead, it would change the game, because if you're at 0, and then if your opponent scores on you, no, then they go up. They go up. Yeah, it wouldn't change anything, I guess. It's a Mario Party card. You know what? You're not wrong. I agree. Nedem says, I love these shows and not AI-generated card ones. Well, Nedem, you are hard deep in the minority. The AI card shows are above and beyond my most popular on this channel. Although I have to admit, it's good when you guys get to contribute to stuff. Rubik's Jar of Eyeballs. Jar of Eyeballs. If anyone wants to know where their eye went, well, Look no further than the Jar of Eyeballs. 3-mana artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, you put 2 eyeball counters on the Jar of Eyeballs. I can imagine people bringing googly eyes as the counter of choice for this card. It's very flavorful. Pay 3, tap. Remove all googly eye counters from Jar of Eyeballs. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of eyeball counters removed this way. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Move all eyeball counters. Oh, I see. So with more eyeballs, you can like look deep into, I guess, your deck, your library, and so on. Yeah, we love our AI overlords. Exactly. Caitlin Terrace, you don't got a card yet? Rock Hydra. Oh, we did the Rock Hydra. And I think I disqualified it. We did Rock Hydra and I disqualified the damn thing. Ooh, the Book of Exalted Deeds. Card got banned because of its counters. I believe it was the card. Was it the card? I think it was the card. Can't remember. I don't remember what got banned. Something here got banned. The Book of Exalted Deeds, a 3-mana legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying. White, tap. Exile the Book of Exalted Deeds. Put an enlightened counter on target angel. It gains, you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. Activate only as a sorcery. So the idea was to activate. It wasn't Mutavault at the time. I think it was like a Mutavault-like card. It was a land that was all creature types. It was the Snowland. It was the Snowland that got banned. Oh, poor Snowland. And the idea is you put the Enlightened counter on the Snowland, which was all creature types because it was an angel. And then with that, so long as that counter was on the board, well, you just couldn't lose the game. It really screwed a bunch of people. Oh, I lost this card once. Can we see Helix Pinnacle? We did Helix Pinnacle. It was Faceless Haven. That's what it was. Faithless Haven. The faceless card today. Silver bordered, but since there is no Ferginka one, bingo. Was there a super chat here? Okay, that'll be the dono from Steve Cooper. Okay, we have a 2-mana 1/1 Hound, Trample. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a chip counter on its converted mana cost. And then Bingo gets +9/+9 for each set of 3 numbers in a row with chip counters on them. Okay, and then we also have Steve Cooper's super chat. Thank you so much. Faithbound Judge. Thanks so much, Steve Cooper, for your donations. This is a 3-mana 4/4 Spirit Soldier. It's got Defender, it's got Flying, it's got Vigilance. You know what it hasn't? You know what also has? It has Faith. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer Judgment counters on it, put a Judgment counter on it. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. You know what it also has? It also has Judgment. I thought it was going to put Faith counters on. As long as Faithbound Judge has 3 or more Judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Bryce with Peiko, Arcane Retriever. The 5-mana 3/3. If partner with Halden, Avid Arcanist, it has haste. And when it attacks, exile the top card of your library and put a fetch counter on them. Oh, this is the other half of the fetch counter card. Put a +1/+1 counter on Peiko for each non-creature card exiled this way. Okay. Calantera is still looking for their card. Admiral Brass, the Unsinkable. 4-mana 3/3 Human Pirate. Other pirates you control get +1/+1, and at the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who has dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Hold on, is there another Admiral Brass? Oh, sorry, I got the wrong card. Okay, we got the right card now. 5 mana for a 3/3 Human Pirate. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may return target pirate creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it, and it has base power and toughness 4/4. It gains haste until end of turn. Truth be told, finality counters, I think they're getting a little bit more popular. So before, that was like more of a niche card. I think finality counters are becoming evergreen. Like this is a card that comes back over and over. This is the type of counter that's coming back over and over again. We got Hexenort, Raw, Tisserie, Elemental. 1 red for a 1/1 elemental with menace. Deals combat damage to a player. Put a skewer counter on rotisserie elemental. Then you may sacrifice it. If you do, exile the top X cards to your library, where X is the number of skewer counters on rotisserie elemental. You may play those cards this turn. What a flavor fail! The skewer counter should have made food tokens, right? Am I right? I think I'm right. Magnum Opus Gold with Zathrid Gore. Oh, I think we did this one. Yeah, we did this one. Sorry about that, Magnum. Christopher B. No 2 cards yet. Mana Gorger Phoenix. Is this a real card? Whatever. It's Arena. As far as I'm concerned, these Arena cards are fake. They're fake, I tell ya. Red 2/2. Flying. Can't block. Whenever you cast a spell, if Mana Gorger Phoenix is in your graveyard, put a flame counter on Mana Gorger Phoenix for each red that's in that spell's mana cost. If Mana Gorger Phoenix has 5 or more flame counters on it, return it to the battlefield, and it the flame counter, and return to the battlefield, and it perpetually gets +1/+1. Teamer G with the Soul Echo. Did we do this one? We did this one. Sorry about that, Teamer G. Okay, who doesn't have 2 cards yet? We're now in the no 2 cards yet zone. We've gotten a lot. We're just grinding through tons of cards today. Maybe I'm supposed to slow this show down a little bit. Hold on. But who does not have 2 cards yet? Many different counters today. Many different counters. You don't got nothing? Spectromaniac? Brass Forge. Some people don't even have 1 card yet. Brass Forge is a 3 mana artifact. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter. Is oil really? Oh, I guess that's sort of new. An oil counter on Brass Forge, then create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Brass Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Oil counters, it feels common right now because they made quite a few good cards with oil counters on them, and so they're really popular. So I feel like I see oil counters here, I see oil counters there. But I think I think it got invented in the All Will Be One set. We did Smokestack. Epic Nate with Spirit Shackles count. Spirit. It creates a counter that's unique, yes. Black enchant creature. When enchant creature becomes tapped, put a -0 -2 counter on. Yeah, that counts. I count that. That's a weird card. When creature becomes tapped. Oh, it's like removal. That's the idea. You put. It's like this is not something you put on your card. It's something you put on somebody else's card. That's how this works around here. Yes, oil counters from my Oil Ocean deck. Oh God. Robin. The Oily Ocean. John, thanks so much for your super chat. Myojin of Life's Web. One of the spirit cards? It is. One of the OG spirits. 9 mana. 8/8 creature. Comes into play with a divinity counter on it if you played it from your hand. It's indestructible as long as it has that divinity counter on it. And remove a divinity counter from Myojin of Life's Web. Put any number of creature cards from your hand into play. By the way, Oil Ocean is a Sonic level. You are correct. Oh, interesting. I didn't even know this was called Oil Ocean. There we go. That's truth be told. I don't remember this place. Was this in Sonic 2? Maybe I just didn't get far enough into the game because I was not, somehow the Sonic game was tough for me from my simple Nintendo brain. Or I also never really owned a Sega Genesis, and I had to play like once in a while whenever I visited my cousin's place. Oil counters aren't new. Glistening Oil is an enchantment that gives oil counters. All right. And then we got Chun-Li. Countless Kicks. 3 mana for a 3/3 multi-kicker. She enters the battlefield, exile up to X target instant cards from your graveyard, where X is the number of times Chun-Li was kicked. That sounds wrong. We're kicking Chun-Li. Put a kick counter on each of them. Now, lightning kick. Whenever Chun-Li attacks, copy each exiled card you own with a kick counter on it. You can cast them cast the copies. I don't really have a kick sound effect here. I don't want to. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh card that gave "You Got It" boss counters. Well, this is not Yu-Gi-Oh. This is Magic the Gathering. Tokyo Joe, Bow Garden Phoenix. 5 mana for a 3/3 Phoenix. If it flying, if it's put into a graveyard from play and has no death counters on it, return Bogarden Phoenix to play and put a death counter on it. If Bogarden Phoenix is put into a graveyard from play and has a death counter on it, remove it from the game. It's the Divinity counter. Or is it Divinity? No, not Divinity. Finality. It's the first Finality counter. It came from Visions. Why did they have to change the name? They already had it. It's right there. It was a death counter. I guess it sounded bad. To be honest, I think Finality counter actually is more suitable. Okay, Elixir with Obsidian Fireheart. The weird reminder text too. Do we look at this? We looked at this. Sorry about that, Elixir. I think you sniped yourself. Wasn't even very early in the show when we looked at this. Weren't you there? I feel like, Elixir, you've been here the entire time. Anyone still with no card yet? Maybe Ryan? Crescendo of War? Now Robin says, now I actually want to make an Oil Ocean deck, but how would that work? You play blue, you play with oil counter creatures, boom! Oil Ocean deck. And fill it with Sonic the Hedgehog cards when it becomes available in Universes Beyond. And it's a white... Okay, so we have Crescendo of War, the white 3 generic enchantment. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a Strife counter on Crescendo of War. Attacking creatures get +1/+0 for each Strife counter on Crescendo of War. And also blocking creatures you control get +1/+0 for each Strife counter on Crescendo of War. These Strife counters seem busted in combat. Absolutely busted. Okay, Toilet Duck is absolutely trying so hard to get this Laura Croft card on here. Laura Croft! Discover counters. 3 mana for a 3/4 Human Ranger. Is that what Laura Croft was? A ranger? Isn't she like a spy or something? I never played the game. I watched the trailer of the movie. Never saw the movie. But I saw her as more of like some sort of secret agent. First strike reach. Whenever Laura Croft attacks, exile up to 1 target legendary artifact card or legendary land card from a graveyard and put a discovery counter on. Oh, I found this. You may play a card from exile with a discovery counter on it. It's got raid. At the end of combat on your turn, if you attack this turn, create a treasure token. She's more of a female Indiana Jones. No, yeah, I got that. Oh, she was an archaeologist? Then why can't we just call her that? There's literally archaeologists, I think, in this game. I think. Well, let's look up an actual archaeologist. There's at least one. They're more like artificers for some reason. This one's a human scout. This is an artificer. The creature types are sort of all over the place, I suppose. I guess you could call her a scout. I don't know what makes her a ranger. Okay, maybe we're gonna finish it off on Tier, who has no card yet. Palliation Accord. Has it been done yet? Nope. Oh no, it has been done. Damn it! Its original shield counters got errated when shield counters came out. Yeah, no, we did. We actually did this one. So maybe we give one to Evan. Midnight Clock. I'm sure you guys have tons of suggestions, but there's no more super chats left. Midnight Clock, 3-mana artifact. Tap for a blue. Pay 3. Put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. And then when the 12th hour counter is put on Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7 cards and exile Midnight Clock. Anyway, cool show. It's actually interesting. A lot of people pretty excited for this one. A lot of counters. I don't know why. Why do they have to make so many different counters? It's just like these commander sets where they have a new whole ability for this one really niche ability on that card. That's it. But they have to keyword everything for some reason. Anyway, this show goes 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on weekdays. Be there or be square. Thanks to everyone who supports the show. People on Patreon, people who are members on YouTube. If you super chat to be part of the show, super chat so other people are part of the show. But of course, we got to thank the people who show up to the show. If nobody showed up, there'd be nothing. That's why we have to thank so much people like David Groves and M. Chupon, Christopher B., Nedin, Chen. We got Toads, Hexanort, Old Boy Elixir, True North, Steve Cooper, Evan, Ryan, Kano, Pedgeman, Forginka, Nightmare, Nedim. Charlie throwing something here at the end. Super chat just because. Good night. Okay, thank you very much. Jess, Christopher B, Teamer, John, Ellis, Spectral Maniac. Because without you guys, Boof, Elixir. I don't know if I got you Elixir. If I didn't, it's okay. You can have 2 acknowledgements. So without you guys, I'd have nothing. So as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing up them coffees, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.